Dear Kismet helps you dive into the mysteries behind cardology, or the astrology and numerology of the playing cards. We answer questions from our tribe and discuss world events and celebrities, all through the lens of this magical, ancient system. Our goal? To help you align with what is written in your cards and to raise the collective consciousness of the planet. If you go to our website, it is kismet.com, and enter your birthday, you'll get to your card's one-stop shop where you will find a 15-page report on your card and much, much more. You can also go to our site to find the cosmic connections, also known as the planetary energies, between you and another person. Now is the time for cardology to become as encoded in the collective energy as astrology and numerology are. So please tell your friends about Kismet. Hey everybody, this is Laura, and we're back with another episode of Dear Kismet, and I am here with two other people. So let's say hi to Paula and then Candy.
Hi everybody.
Hey everybody.
Yeah, so what we're talking about today is, well, it's like this topic that keeps coming up that is related to the cards, that the cards maybe can help explain a little bit, but we are also going to kind of give our personal experiences and opinions, because it's kind of hard to find like a hard and fast answer to this. So we are talking about the idea of free will versus your destiny or your Kismet. So we picked that name Kismet because the cards very much explain what's happening in your life on a yearly basis. They explain your personality. They explain a lot of stuff about our lives. They explain our relationships. And so it's like, this is just like a mind-blowing thing that is always in my head. And I'm always like, wait, do we have free will, or do we not have free will? Because this is lining up exactly with the cards this way. And okay, so the other day I was talking to Gina Jones, who's actually been helping organize the Cardology conference that Paula will be speaking at, and that we'll be doing a workshop at in October in Vegas. So if you're around that area, the 11th through the 14th, feel free to stop by for a day or come for the whole thing. But anyway, Gina has her own website. It's cardsoflife.com. And she was telling me that she went back and mapped out as many events as she could remember about her life. And she said they fit perfectly with the card system. So she was like, I'm not even sure we have free will when we were talking on the phone. I was like, I've had that exact same thought. Do we even have free will? And then I started thinking, okay, well, maybe we have it at the soul level. So our soul, the idea behind the cards is that the soul picked this card, picked its birthday. And I think some astrologers would say picked the minute it was born into a human body, so that you could have this framework, so that you could kind of live through this framework. And I also kind of think that part of what we're trying to do is evolve so much spiritually that we get past the restrictions that something like astrology or cardology would place on us. I haven't met anyone that's pulled that off yet. So maybe it's not really possible. I don't know, but I think that's the idea. If we could get rid of all the structures that are surrounding us, all the belief systems that we have, then we're totally free. So for now, we do have the card system. We do have astrology. It is influencing our lives, and it's very obvious once you start studying it. So as far as destiny goes, the cards have 7 52-day periods during the year. So there's a set of cards that are influencing every 52-day period that you have. You have 5 cards influencing every year. And every reading I've given, when I sit down with the person, first of all, they're not coming in for a reading when things are going well. So you can see it when you sit down and you look at their cards, you're like, yeah, this seems like it's going to be kind of a rough time. So, or they're just dealing with a lot of change or a lot of things that are coming up. And it's really obvious in the cards when you look at the yearly spread. So my philosophy on free will versus destiny, your soul definitely has free will. There's a framework kind of like limiting you, maybe, that the cards could explain, that astrology could explain. They're like pushing lessons onto you at that time. And you have the choice on how you're going to react to those lessons. So that is a free will choice. And in the cards, we also always talk about high side, low side. So meaning like high vibration, low vibration, you can act out of the higher vibration of the card, or you can act out of the lower vibration. So you always have that choice. There's a scale on that kind of spectrum too. Okay, that's my spiel. So who is ready to jump in?
So I'll piggyback on what Laura said, because I agree with this. I do think that the soul has free will. I mean, obviously we choose to be incarnated or to be born at a certain time, at a very precise time that has very precise meanings depending on what system you may be looking at: cardology, astrology, numerology, and the list goes on. I also think though, that so that would be more destiny, right? You pick it and you're kind of destined on this path. I think free will comes into place almost to the degree that there's kind of boundaries or borders that are established, and anything within these, you are free to make a choice. But as Laura said, we're not really yet able to jump outside these boundaries. So like if you into it and the concept of multiple realities, where it starts to get weird, there's the potential that we're living out every single decision we've ever made, as well as the yes version, the no version, the A, B, C, D, and so on version. And those pieces of us just continue down these paths, and we continue to have these experiences, and we can exist in multiple timelines. So with that little bit of a nugget, right? Like your free will would literally be any option, any pro con that has ever popped into your head. A part of you has been like, yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. All at the same time, which then would ultimately still take you down to the path of your final destination. So yeah, I think there's both.
Yeah, it's
I
like
think we
sliding
can do both
doors.
at the same time. Right, it is. And the craziest part of it is that we may never
Yeah.
Yeah, at least in these bodies. You know what
Right.
pops in my head when you say that? It's a fresh thought that I've never had before, which is when we look at the Mandela Effect, we see relatively small changes. Now, I think Nelson Mandela, when he passed, that's a pretty big deal, but by and large, the vast majority of the Mandela Effect differences are very subtle, and it kind of makes me think, like you were saying, there's this range, and you act within this range, and pretty much everything Laura said is exactly how I feel about it, where there's I would say rather than a limitation, I think of it in terms of a focus. So I'm the 7 of diamonds, and it gives me this focus and this opportunity. So even the terminology I'm using, I align with free will. And I think that everybody is somewhere in that spectrum in terms of how free they really know they are. Do you really understand your sovereignty? And I think, yeah, when we get to a point of really embodying it, you can transcend astrology and the cards, but they have an influence. I was really looking into this recently because I have a friend who created a declaration to free herself from all of the influences of the planets. And I thought about this for a couple days, and then I did it. And then I began researching. I know, so it's like, what's going to happen now?
So can you just kind of like dive into that a little deeper? So you created some kind of declaration where you said out loud, like, I release all my connection to Mars and Venus and Jupiter and the influences those planets have on me.
Yeah, I can totally upload this somewhere on our website or something if people want to try it. But my friend created it with muscle testing. She's a theta healer, and last November, she created one that was just a sovereignty declaration. And that has been incredibly powerful. And it's given me the ability to really discern whether or not a speaker or a teacher or an individual gets the sovereignty thing, or do they feel that their source of their good is outside them. It's basically that simple. I'm the source of absolutely everything I need. I'm God's source. I am source. But the astrology declaration, somebody was explaining this to me during the eclipse too, that we have these giant cords that go to every single one of the planets, and she was guided to cut them all except the one to the sun, which is really interesting because I'm starting to hear more deep metaphysical stuff about what is the sun in terms of an entity. But when I cut all of these cords to just let them all go back to their respective places and let all of my energy come back to me, I got dizzy and I felt really, it was good. It was a good feeling, but it was really like, woo. And then I saw this, you know what that licorice looks like that has all those little strands on it? It's like a cable. It looked like that, and it was twisted and it was cut off at the top. And I was like, I don't know what that is. And now it's laying over to the side. And my friend was looking at it and she goes, oh, those are your cords. They're sucking back down into your body. Then I've heard somebody else say that each of the 12 astrological signs aligns with one of your DNA strands. So anyway, I'm having this free will experiment, and but I still see that we're influenced. And I looked up what Yogananda had to say about it, and I highly recommend Googling Yogananda and astrology, because he has a very gentle response to the whole thing. And he basically says, you are source, you can transcend, but there is an influence and you can be more or less subject to it. And the way I think about it is, like Laura was saying, there's a high and a low vibration. Like you get the 7 of clubs in Uranus, and you can be eating yourself alive with self-criticism, or just throwing judgment out to everybody else, or being super sensitive. Or you can take that energy, which is discernment, to a higher level and say, what do I need to see about myself that I haven't been seeing? How can I detach myself from my ideas a little bit, and how can I let some spiritual knowledge come in? So I think that's where the choice is. You have the cards and the astrology. They give you, like, here's the flashlight, and now it's shining on the King of Clubs. What are you going to do with that? And because it's a constant shifting clock, you get an opportunity to work on every single one of the cards many, many times throughout your life. And Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within you. So it's like, I think of 52 archetypes that live inside us, which is interesting because don't we have like 26 chromosomes? So it's like, oh, I wonder if anyway, I can go off on that. But yeah, I think it's an opportunity to just really take inventory. And I think that we, in our free will, chose to come here to work on some particular things this time around. And I believe we pick a particular card, which gives us a path. It gives us a hero's journey. Everyone has their own uniquely devised hero's journey to get back to who they are, to heal and find the truth, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess like what I was just thinking about was, if you could transcend all of this stuff, why are you even here?
Well, right. It's probably when your journey ends, I'm guessing.
Bingo. That's a great insight. Right, it's like a ropes course or an obstacle course of some kind. And yeah, if you don't need to go through that, or if you don't want to go through that, then you won't come here and subject yourself to it.
Right.
When you were talking, I was thinking about, you said focus, and the word frequency popped into my head. And clearly I've been reading a lot of books about quantum physics and watching a lot of shows about it lately, but they talk a lot about how, so everything has a frequency. We have a frequency, the cards have a frequency, the planets have a frequency. And depending on what we're doing or what our focus is, we're changing the dial on our radio, on our frequency. And when you change the dial, you hear a different station, you hear a different message, you get a different focus, you maybe change a little bit about your, the direction of your purpose or what you're actually doing today. So it's almost like the cards and the planets help us to dial in a little bit more at specific times. So maybe that frequency changes slightly, which then will impact us. So yeah, so it could impact our focus. I like that idea of tuning into our focus through our frequencies. Oh my gosh, yeah. I still don't know.
Well, yeah, because then it's sort of like, so then you're like, okay, well, what is the purpose of being alive? I mean, that's what it comes down to. Yeah, the experience and your soul's experience and what it's trying to learn or accomplish, or like climb its way back to knowing and really truly like being back to source consciousness. So I think the choices are for us to learn these lessons, and otherwise, if you don't have a card, you don't have astrology, what lessons are you supposed to be learning?
Well, and we're having these experiences. To some degree, we do have choice. We can choose to learn the lesson or not. We can exist in the low side or the high side.
You could choose to not learn it and then just keep repeating
just
the
same keep coming
shit
back
over and over and over and over and over again.
Beating your head against the wall.
And not just the different lifetimes in this lifetime. Like, yeah.
Right.
Why is this happening again?
Oof. Which is why it's so important to #do your work.
Yeah. Yeah. Because do you want to do it again? Like, or do you want to graduate to the next thing?
Please, let me graduate.
Let's move the tassel.
I'll come in for office hours.
Can I get a tutor?
Okay, I think that we've not really gotten anywhere on the answer to this, but hopefully we made you think a little bit. And if you're like, oh, what is my purpose? Why am I here? What are my lessons? Then definitely get on our website, because Paula has written these amazing reports. And each card has its own report, and you can dive into your purpose. And in the report, there's a real talk line. So the thing that you need to hear the most that your friends are not telling you. So check that out. It's on our website. It is kismet.com. Look up your birthday, go to your one-stop shop, and you'll see the place where you can get your report there. And we will see you next time. Thank you for watching this episode of Dear Kismet. We would love it if you would subscribe and share. Go to our website, itiskismet.com, to learn more about the Cardology Conference in Vegas in October, to look up your card and cosmic connections, and to ask Dear Kismet a question.